It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is February 1st, my dudes. On this day last year, Tom Brady retired. On this day this year, Tom Brady has decided to retire again. Welcome to the Sweat, presented by DraftKings. I am Emerson Latzia. So coming up, Mike Golick Jr., half of the Gojo gang, will join us to react to TB12, calling it quits. Who the hell is going to be the next quarterback of the 49ers now, too? We're talking early odds ahead of Super Bowl 57 in Arizona, which we will be. This show will be there in Arizona live Monday through Friday next week. Top DFS plays on a short two-game NHL slate and a DFS preview of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. But we're going to ease you into this thing right now. Let's grab some best bets around the NBA quickly from DraftKings contributors Gary and Thorne and Twitter bully Jeff Pratt. Gare Bear, a sad, sad day for you guys in Canada. Tom Brady, the last Montreal Expos draftee, still active in pro sports. He's done. So thoughts and prayers to you and our neighbors to the north.
Yeah, definitely no major rivalry between the cities of Toronto and Montreal. We definitely celebrate all their favorite sports heroes. So yeah, big one for the entire nation of Canada, as small as we are. So thank you, Emerson. Your words mean a lot to me.
Yeah, you mean a lot to me too. You are my absolute favorite. And speaking of that, your favorite. Which favorite is in the best spot tonight on this 9-game NBA slate, Gare Bear?
So I'm just going to go with a real hashtag math pick. Across the last 10 games, we have the number 1 team in net rating, the Sacramento Kings, going up against the number 30 team in net rating, the San Antonio Spurs. The spread in this game, because the Spurs are at home, is only 7.5. I think that's pretty light. I mean, granted, this is a weird slate. We've got a lot of big lines on this particular slate, but this one just seems a little too small for me, considering the talent gap and the production gap that we've seen from these two teams all season long, but most specifically in the past couple of weeks, where the Kings are outscoring their opponents by 8 full points per 100 possessions, and the Spurs are getting outscored by their opponents by 14 points per 100 possessions. Sacramento also been very good against the spread recently. They are 4-1 ATS their past 5 road games. They are 9-1 ATS their last 10 road games against a team with a losing record. So they tend to take care of business in these spots in the games where they are favored to begin with. I'll take them to do it again tonight.
I mean, hot damn, two teams moving in complete opposite directions there, Gare Bear. Jeff, you got a favorite you like tonight, pal?
I do. And to be completely honest, I don't absolutely love any favorite on the board tonight. There are a couple that I think are favorable lines. And that being said, I do think Memphis probably has the best chance of covering out of all these favorites, even if they haven't been in excellent form lately. The Grizzlies finally snapped their 5-game losing streak against Indiana on Sunday. And you know what all 5 of those matchups had in common is that they were away games for Memphis. The Grizzlies are a completely different team at home this year, boasting a 21-3 record at FedEx Forum. Portland, on the other hand, is a much worse team on the road than at home this year. They're only 4-6 against the spread over their last 10. One notable thing on the injury front is Desmond Bane is questionable tonight, but I like the Grizzlies even if he sits. Hopefully Sunday's game was a building block for Memphis to get back to their winning ways.
All right, Jeff, you say you're not in love with really any of the favorites, so give us an underdog you're willing to back on the DK Sportsbook tonight.
Yeah, you know, Emerson, you started the show by being mean to me. But
don't gaslight me, bud. Don't do this now. I have receipts.
I made this pick because of you, for you, and you're going to want to savor this because this type of pick will only come around once every few years. It's like the eclipse. So I'm taking the Nets to cover against the Celtics tonight. Wow. As much as it breaks my heart to do that and pick against Boston. Emerson, I did it for you. Now, I do think Boston still has a good chance to win this game, but 8.5 points is a lot to cover, especially with how poor they've been playing lately. The Celtics have failed to cover in 6 straight games. Over the Nets' last 6, they're 5-1 against the spread. And Boston's offense just doesn't look the same without Marcus Smart running the show. It's likely going to remain a bit ugly until he comes back. Rob Williams is still questionable tonight. Meanwhile, the Nets do have a couple of key players out. Obviously, Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons, but Kyrie Irving has really thrived as the number one option in Brooklyn. They've been keeping a lot of games close. I expect that to be the case tonight up until the end.
Only issue is like Nets have not been great at covering in this matchup against the Celtics. So.
No, they have not.
Okay, so Garrett Bear, give me an underdog you like.
So when in doubt lately, and you need an underdog, just take the Orlando Magic. They're laying 9 points tonight against Philadelphia. And I think the big thing hanging over this game right now, I mean, big being the operative word here, is Joel Embiid, as he usually is questionable. And those questionable tags with Embiid, this is not like a LeBron James situation where he plays 95% of the time he's questionable. Like, you really have to factor in a questionable tag when it comes to Joel Embiid. I'd say it's about 50-50, like legitimately questionable that he plays tonight. So this line could be set to move at any point anyway. So betting it now at 9 points seems like a relatively good idea when you consider that the Magic are, I believe, 12-2 against the spread, their last 14 games against a team with a winning record. So they tend to cover even against really good teams. They're 20-7 ATS their last 27 games in general. So they've just been among the best, if not the best team against the spread the past 2 months of the season. I'll just keep riding with the Magic with a big number here tonight.
And Gare Bear, that Magic 76ers game has the second lowest total on the board currently, 230.5. What is your game total du jour?
I'm going to go all the way to the end of this slate. A little West Coast game, Hawks and the Suns. The total right now is 230.5. I think this goes over. The last 6 times these two teams have met, the over has hit. And if you want to be more specific to this particular matchup, the Hawks are just an overs machine right now. They come into this game across their last 10 games, top 5 in the NBA in offensive rating, and just outside the bottom 5 in defensive rating. Basically, they're scoring more than 120 points per 100 possessions, and they're allowing more than 120 points per 100 possessions. That just means a lot of overs. That's why they've gone 7-1 to the over in their last 8 games. Phoenix's offense is obviously much better the last week and a half with Chris Paul back, with DeAndre Ayton back. I just think there's going to be a lot of points in this game, specifically supplied either by Atlanta's offense or Atlanta's defense. So I think this one goes over pretty easily.
Okay, you can see a game going over pretty easily, Jeff?
I do not. I'm going to look at the other end of the spectrum here. I usually target inflated game totals and take the under, and I think we've got one of those tonight. The game total for Spurs Kings is just way too high. It's as simple as that. It's at 244 right now. I know that Sacramento has the best offense in the league, but 244 points is ridiculous. So I have to take the under. And it's not like these teams are racking up the points lately. 7 of the last 8 games involving either the Kings or the Spurs have gone under that total, and most of them have gone well under that total. So they're not in fantastic form. The Kings went into overtime on Monday and didn't even score 120. In fact, they haven't scored 120 in 3 straight. And the same can be said for San Antonio. So much has to go right offensively for 2 teams to combine for 245 points in an NBA game without overtime. I know we've been spoiled quite a bit this season because offense has been through the roof, but neither the Kings or the Spurs are in good enough form to be confident that they can hit that total. So I have to go with the under here.
All right, Jeff, got a bonus question for you. On the DFS side, who's in a good spot tonight to deliver the goods on DraftKings?
I'm going to go with Steph Curry, who is actually priced cheaper tonight than his last 2 games, despite racking up 66-plus fantasy points in each of those contests. The Warriors are a bit of a mess from a team perspective, although they are the 5 seed in the West currently, at least they were last night, because that entire conference is a mess. That being said, the team's dysfunction has not stopped Curry from producing at an elite level. He's averaging nearly 30 points per game, along with a career-high 6.3 rebounds. But what has really jumped out over the last 2 games specifically is the assist. He's dished out 11 and 12 in each of those contests while still scoring 35-plus points. And his usage rate wasn't even that high. So he's just been amazing pretty much every single time he's touching the basketball. And he gets a great matchup tonight against Minnesota. They're just a disaster defensively. So I think he keeps this hot streak alive.
All right, Gary, and who do you like on the fantasy side?
I'm going to go same position, just $100 cheaper. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, fantastic matchup tonight against the Rockets. Even just a cursory look at the DraftKings Sportsbook page, or excuse me, the DraftKings page, you'll notice Houston gives up the most fantasy points per game to opposing point guards, but really this is more about Shai himself. I mean, over his last 5 games, a usage rate hovering around 34%. He's scoring 1.52 DraftKings points per minute in that span of time. And in terms of his floor, this is someone who has yet to score less than 40 DraftKings points in a game in 2023. So the floor is exceedingly high. The ceiling is that much higher thanks to an amazing matchup against the Rockets, who bring that to the table, that combination of a bad defense and a high pace that you love to see as a DFS owner. I think Gilgeous-Alexander's in a fantastic spot tonight.
All right, my sweet chinchillas, farewell to both of you. We got to take a break. We got to prepare you for a Gojo invasion. We'll talk a lot about Tom Brady, but also, do you smell what Travis Kelce is cooking? After telling the mayor of Cincinnati to shut your mouth. He's preparing to face his brother Jason in the Super Bowl. We're breaking it down with Mike coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to do that thing you like. It's time to remind you how delicious the Gojo Show is. Fall in love with former Notre Dame teammates Mike Golick Jr. and Brandon Newman as they take on a spicy, emotional podcasting adventure. They'll take you on that every single weekday, talking sports and stuff. And grab this award-winning program, by the way, wherever you listen to podcasts. Brandon could not make it this morning, but we do have Mike here. Good morning, Mike.
Yes, good morning, guys. Brandon's resting up here. I tried to tell him he just got done with a fast and then decided to break that fast for about a month by going and eating all the normal things that we like.
No.
And usually listen, as someone that has maybe not fasted for a long time, but eaten after a long distance and mainlined candy in the process, doesn't always work out well on the other side. So Brandon's resting up. We're going to get him right, and I am going to gas bag even more today.
I cannot wait to see both of you next week in Arizona. Speaking of fasting, it's been something I feel like Tom Brady's been doing for a quarter of a century now. He retired exactly a year after he retired in 2022 here, Mike. Beyond the smorgasbord of records and Super Bowl titles, what else stands out to you about this man's career?
I think the evolution of hairstyles is certainly one thing that pops up to mind here. He's settled in on sort of like a late stage Zoolander here in retirement. He's one of the few people, my brother pointed this out, that can actually look handsome on a front facing camera, the way he announced his retirement video and did a lot of those celebration videos with Gronk. But no, his greatness defined an era. He time-stamped so many of our lives with what he did and how he did it. And it began as someone who was an underdog story and became someone who turned himself and the Patriots franchise, along with Bill Belichick, into the greatest winning machine in the history of modern sports, and certainly in an era of free agency, salary caps, and all of the things that he had to negotiate. And then now to have turned that into a legitimate business career outside of football. We won't talk about the crypto stuff, but we'll instead focus on Tom Brady getting set to begin a media career with Fox. Tom Brady, who was just last night roaming the red carpet for the premiere of 80 for Brady, a movie made about people going to see him play football. So seeing the evolution of Tom Brady into full-blown mogul has been a wild, wild ride in addition to the football glory.
How long will this retirement last for? Last year stretched only 40 days.
I don't know, man. I think he saw Greg Olson over there cooking in the Fox
Right?
main booth and all of a sudden said, hey, listen, I know that I saw that Bill Belichick Wally Pipp clip floating around with him talking about Julian Edelman to another one of the Patriots wide receivers in Wes Welker. So I think he's probably wanting to get a start on that and make sure he's got that one boost solidified because Greg's been on the come up lately.
I mean, he's also about to pull a Brandon. Like, how excited are you to see Tom Brady try some real food here?
You know what? That's what I do wonder because I always tell people athletes, usually it's inverse to what they were as players, right? You see all these O-linemen, Joe Thomas, Jeff Saturday, slim down, start looking good because being fat for that long is not fun. Your body hurts all the time. You sweat looking at stairs. And for Tom Brady and these other guys on the other side that have had to live their lives being skinny, avocado ice cream, pliability, all that stuff, some part of them I think loves getting to kind of unclench their jaw, relax their shoulders, and take a little spin through a Vegas buffet line and do a little damage to yourself and others. So, Tom, I hope you go through what we all did during the pandemic. I had like 5 body types during that.
Yep.
Tom should allow himself to have a few different body types before he settles back into his life.
Take a trip to Waffle House, man. There's one like 1 mile away from Brandon's house.
Oh, you know what? I will sign up for the features piece. DraftKings, I'm pitching this to you now. Send me to take Tom Brady to Waffle House and show him how to eat like a normal person here while we discuss the next phase. Because I don't know if you guys have seen it. I put out a picture on my Twitter. When I was in camp with the New Orleans Saints, I took one of the worst pictures of my entire life with Tom Brady out there on the field. We did a joint practice with the Patriots, and there's my big fat gut, and Tom Brady staring at it like it's the most disgusting thing he's ever seen. So, Tom, I'll show you how to get a body like that at the feature piece that we make at Waffle House in Florida. Boom.
Mike, does he sign a one-day contract with New England and retire a Patriot?
Yeah, I think, and you saw in his post, because remember, a lot of this retirement was about doing it on his own terms. Last year, I mean, for the rest of the NFL, I'm sure they're throwing a party and thanking God that Shefty or Jeff Darlington didn't leak this early again and tick Tom Brady off enough for him to come back and keep destroying NFL defenses. So I do think this time around, you saw his Instagram post, a lot of references to his time in New England, a lot of pictures from the Patriots days. Since last time that became a subject of ire of New England fans, I think this time around it'll all get done right. He'll have his moment in New England. There'll be the flowers given there. And he will retire a Patriot the way he's supposed to. I
mean, the class of 2028, talking the Pro Football Hall of Fame here, is building up to be a damn good one. You got Tom Brady and J.J. Watt, like as of right now. So sign me up for that. I do love, Mike, how his retirement came like a day after you guys were pushing out some clips from your podcast. You guys are like, Tom Brady and the 49ers are on this collision course, which obviously no longer is the case. Who the hell is going to be the quarterback in San Fran next year?
Man, I know, I think Jimmy Ward, who we don't know what the rest of his tenure is going to look like for the 49ers as they have a bunch of financial decisions to make, but went out and said that they have a quarterback problem in San Francisco the same day that you had Trey Lance coming out and saying he was ahead of schedule on his recovery from a couple of lower body procedures that he had to undergo this season. And so right now it puts Trey Lance in the driver's seat, I think, unless they want to get into the business of potentially trading for Aaron Rodgers. And we hear every Tuesday his cryptic musings on the Pat McAfee show about how the Packers are having conversations that don't involve him right now. And that's interesting to him because he still hasn't made a decision. It's always an interesting dilemma if you want to approach everything that Aaron Rodgers brings, all of the good play, but also all the things you have to deal with him interpersonally, or are you just going to let it ride on a player that you've seen play for one game? The rest of the veteran quarterback market, names like Derek Carr, I'm not sure if that moves the needle enough for San Francisco to take more resources and throw it towards a player of that caliber. So this might be advantage Trey Lance of being there, being the guy this organization invested in with all that draft capital, and hopefully being healthy enough to get in the building and start putting the work in during OTAs to show them that.
By the way, with Tom Brady done now, there's only one active quarterback with multiple Super Bowl rings. That quarterback, of course, Jimmy Garoppolo, who I saw some people talking on Twitter this morning. Oh, he is going to head down to Tampa Bay, next quarterback for the Bucs, man.
You know what? At this point, I heard Bill Barnwell say this the other day. The universe bends to make certain storylines happen. And it feels like the universe just wants to keep Jimmy G in San Francisco somehow, some way.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Because again, now, Brock Purdy and that injury to his UCL going to complicate the offseason, depending on if he does elect to have surgery and what the decision is there. But I do like the idea of Jimmy G just walking into everywhere that Tom Brady's been or wanted to be in the case of San Francisco and making it his own here. A Tampa Bay Super Bowl run led by Jimmy Garoppolo would be very, very like Alanis Morissette irony.
Yeah, for sure. 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife. Love it. Mike, how about what Patrick Mahomes did against Cincinnati? So we had 326 yards, 2 touchdowns. We're talking 8 days after sustaining a high ankle sprain. That's as tough a performance as we've seen in recent memory. What grade would you give his performance last weekend?
But A+. It's why the conversation about anyone else being the number one quarterback in the NFL felt like such a farce. And that's not to slight Joe Burrow, but we all saw what Pat just did. And I understand he had a whole working offensive line, one that they had drafted well and paid very well to protect him. But we looked during that game. You saw Kadarius Toney go down. You saw McCole Hardman go down. You saw Juju Smith-Schuster go down. They were going multi-tight end sets out of necessity because they just needed bodies out there for Pat to feed the ball to. We had a 100-plus yard Marquez Valdez-Scantling game in the playoffs. That's no disrespect to the player, but those are the only things that happen when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback. And you saw him in a really gritty performance sort of look around in the third quarter and say, I know we're trying to get the ball out quick. I know we don't want me moving around all that much, but I have to do whatever it's going to take to win. And on the final play, the penultimate play that sets up the field goal where he is tackled out of bounds and you get the penalty, that was forced by him finally breaking contain and using his legs to get the first down to begin with. He was going to give him a chance at a field goal. It was going to be longer and probably no good without the penalty, but you saw the willingness to do whatever it takes. And when you combine that with otherworldly ability and a guy who already very young and early into his career has evolved to that next level beyond just big plays and the highlight reel stuff, it is truly a quarterback that, if he stays healthy and continues on this road, has a chance to be one of the greatest we've ever seen.
Yeah, on a quest to overtake Tom Brady as the GOAT, potentially. Listen, one of the biggest Super Bowl storylines that'll no doubt be run into the ground over the next week and a half here is the Kelce Bowl. Travis Kelce versus Jason Kelce. Two great players. Again, a topic you guys talked about on the Gojo podcast. Two big personalities. How do you think the level of family trash talk is right now inside that household? Do you think and you're on a big group chat with your family as well. So what do you think that group chat is like? What do you think inside that household is like right now, Mike?
You know what? I think that household is mom keeping the peace right now.
Mama Donna.
Mama Donna is the one that's not going to hear it. And I think the good part for the family right now is they both already have one, right? These are both two guys that already have the Super Bowl ring, already have the ultimate prize, have already been to the mountaintop together. So now we're just adding gravy onto the resumes for two guys that are Hall of Famers down the road whenever they get done playing. And so there's some peace in that with mom, but it's like anything else. Mom will always tolerate a certain amount of trash talk up to a point. And then if it gets too real, and we know with Jason and Travis, people have seen the podcast, people have listened to it. At some point, they can brush up to the line because they're brothers and they know how to hit where it really hurts.
Yeah.
That's when mom steps in. She lays down the hammer and makes sure that everyone plays nice, especially, God, the group chat's one thing. When they get out in public next week and they're at the Super Bowl, that's when she's watching like a hawk. Every bit of content coming out, making sure, because the one thing you learn when your mom is now, and Donna's now been brought into the public sphere, everyone knows her, everyone loves her. When you got a mom in public, it means you got to watch what you do online, because if you tweet something or put out something foul, you're getting a text from mom who saw it. Hi, Andy, mom.
Yeah, but yeah, dude, shout out to Christine. But Donna has been seen out in public wearing a split jersey. What's your take on split jerseys here?
Fine for moms and significant others here. You know, I'm always interested how they can make it work. The most famous to me split jersey that was the foundational one in my lifetime was Brady Quinn's future wife, AJ Hawk's sister, when
Okay.
Notre Dame and Ohio State played way
Ooh.
back in the day. That was, to me, sort of the origin story of split jerseys. So in general, pro split jerseys, I do love them more when they're like bitter rivals. Like this one will be fun, but the Chiefs and Eagles aren't necessarily rivals in the way that we think. I love when it's like a split Ohio State Michigan jersey or something completely craven like that.
Yeah, because see, I'm like, never rock a split jersey. Even if you're a parent with a kid on both teams, just wear the jersey of your favorite child. Send a strong message to your weaker offspring that they need to step it the hell up, Mike.
That is true, and that's something my dad reminds me of all the time is you guys are being graded. You're being ranked every day based on your actions as our children, and we absolutely have a favorite on any given day. So listen, maybe Donna and Ed are really about that life, and they'll set a strong tone, and we'll see what's been going on in the Kelsey household if they both show up wearing Eagles or both show up wearing Chiefs. Or, my God, what an even better thing. Maybe with the two parents, you can split and have one wear the Eagles jersey.
That's
and
the
one
way to
wear
do
the
it.
Chiefs jersey.
That is the way to do it. Absolutely, everyone should be thrown in jail who has the balls to wear a split jersey, for crying out loud. A fashion faux pas. What's a non-football sports story that grabbed your attention this week?
Oh, man. Candace Parker going out and signing and creating a WNBA super team with the Aces.
Yeah.
Her, Asia Wilson, Chelsea Gray coming off a title and adding Candace Parker, who's already been a champion and an MVP. And I do appreciate she mentioned doing this to be closer and around her family and all that, but also just happening to do that in a way that sends her to a team that just won a WNBA title and looks like it could steamroll to another one with her involved. So the Stugotz is strong in Candace Parker, and I'm excited to watch that team absolutely tear through the association.
All right, Brandon's not here, so you will be dishing out the single Gojo Rose of the week. Who is this week's lucky recipient of your rose?
Yeah, you know what? And so much of yesterday was overshadowed by this Tom Brady news. We had all of the coaching news in the NFL. Sean Payton traded to the Denver Broncos. But I want to give the rose to D'Amico Ryans. He's heading into an organization in the Houston Texans, signed a 6-year deal to be their head coach, was a player for the Houston Texans during his career, played for them in the Philadelphia Eagles, and is a guy that I feel like is universally rooted for right now. You listen to his former teammates, people that had coached with him, coached against him, laud and praise this man's leadership ability. And I think as we look at finding the next great NFL head coaches, so often we focus on pedigree on one side of the ball, schematic prowess, X's and O's offensively or defensively, and he'll certainly have that on the defensive side of the ball, but the leadership ability seems truly second to none right now. And in a world, we know, we all loved Man Campbell, what went on in Detroit, seeing former players step into this role and do really well. I'm excited to see the staff D'Amico Ryans puts together. I'm excited to see what he does and hopefully has influence on with that front office in the draft picks they've got in the first round over the next couple of years to try and rebuild this franchise, because they have to give him time now. You just fired 2 head coaches after one and done stints in consecutive years. You've got to give this guy time to sit and make this right and try and build something in an organization that lacks a sturdy foundation.
Yeah, he was a fantastic player for him, too, back in the day before being traded to, I believe it was Philadelphia. Real quick before you go, we had a good old-fashioned source-off, too, yesterday, right? Between Rappaport, because you brought up Ryans, between Rappaport and Schefter there, man. That was spicy. That was interesting.
The insider game's cutthroat, man.
Yeah,
As a
dude.
one-time insider myself, breaking the Harrison Smith third contract in Minnesota news back in my ESPN days. Humble brag, but not quite so humble. I can tell you it's a world where you lose a lot of sleep. You're constantly worried about getting scooped. And so it was nice to see 2 of my peers in the insider game going toe-to-toe and trading barbs. That's why you lift all them weights. That's why you do all those thumb wars.
Dude, I'm looking at a picture of D'Amico Ryans from his playing day right now. He was jacked, dude. He was absolutely huge. You guys lose so much weight when you stop playing. All right,
I think there's something to be said for jacked NFL head coaches. Sorry, I know you're going to break.
Yeah. We got Tom Glennon, producer. He's just panicking behind the scenes because our segment was so good. Anywho, thanks, Mike. Love you, man. I'll see you next week in Arizona. We're going to talk a 2-game NHL slate. One of them's a real meaty, historic rivalry. Who you got to stuff inside your lineups coming up. All right, baby. We got not one, but two NHL games on the slate tonight. Look at the Bruins, Maple Leafs. No one loves it more than those here in Boston. And our dude, Paul Bruno. Leafs can cut the Bruins Atlantic Division lead to under 10 points. Carolina Hurricanes, Sabres as well. Canes looking for their 6th straight win. RotoWire's AJ Souls joining his riveting RotoWire partner, Paul Bruno here, talking top DFS play. So only 2 games here, guys. Let's rip through both of them. Starting with the meaty rivalry here, Paul. That is Boston and Toronto. You have the honors here. Who is your favorite DFS play in this one?
Well, you know what? I look for a hot stick on this night in this marquee matchup, and there's nobody hotter than Willie Nylander, the Leafs' leading goal scorer with 28 markers. He's got 6 goals and 6 helpers in his last 7 games on 30 shots on goal. Currently slated to anchor the second line, avoiding Bergeron's line, which will go head-to-head with Johnny T on a regular basis tonight, and the featured shooter on the power play as well. He faces Boston's backup goalie, Jeremy Swayman, tonight. I'm a little surprised that he only cost $7,200 this evening.
Okay, AJ, where are you going here?
Well, Paul mentioned the 6 goals he played tonight. If you want to go just slightly cheaper, though, I would look at John Tavares here. He was getting his offense rolling here even before Matthews got injured, but now he's going to see more responsibilities here. $7K is the price tag, pretty cheap for him. And so I think, 6 points in his last 4 games, 3 of those coming in the man advantage. And the Bruins are currently reeling with 3 straight defeats to playoff caliber teams. So it might be a good opportunity to capitalize on the Leafs tonight.
AJ, people are hitting the panic button around here in Boston.
I think it's too early for the panic button.
Oh.
I think they just need the time off for the All-Star break, and they'll be back rolling just as soon as this wraps up. But it could be one more rough one tonight before things shut down for a little bit.
AJ, a few hours south of the 6th, though, we have the Canes visiting the Sabres. Which player makes the most sense to roster in this game?
I'd go with Alex Tuck here at 6,600. It's actually below some of the top-priced guys on the slate that we've mentioned. He's averaging 3.5 shots per game over his last 8 contests, and that's a really solid floor you're getting from him. You add in 9 points along the way. It's also the second of a back-to-back for the Canes, so there could be a little bit of fatigue there. I expect to see some goals in this one, and Alex Tuck could be a big part of that.
Okay, Paul, who catches your eye?
Well, I like that call for the Buffalo side, but Carolina's the hottest of these 2 streaking clubs with an 8-1-1 mark in their last 10 games played. And again, I'm looking at the hottest shooter going into this one on the Canes side. That's Sebastian Aho, 8 goals on 21 shots over his last 6 games played. Somehow, he's costing only $6,100 this evening. You got to be all over that. I know he's likely to match up against Big Tage Thompson, but I think Aho's speed will give him an advantage here, believing that you can't hit what you can't catch. The Canes should feast on the power play as they face a less than stellar Sabres power play PK group as well.
I mean, Paul, on like a short 2-game slate like this, you got to find some leverage against your opponents in all these DraftKings contests. So give us a value play who can do just that.
Well, I checked in with RotoWire's DFS rankings for tonight's game, and they support a choice of Morgan Riley to be one of my 2 defensemen, while costing only $4,400 tonight. He's the 2nd highest points projection among blue liners this evening. It makes more sense to me when I note that he's got his longtime partner TJ Brody back in the saddle alongside him. He's going to play big minutes, and a lot of those are going to be quarterbacking the Leafs' potent power play as well.
Okay, AJ, who you got for value?
Yeah, I really like David Krejci tonight, who comes in at 4,300. He's currently getting big minutes with that Boston #1 power play unit that's currently 6th best in the league. And that pairs him up with all the Bees stars, McAvoy, Bergeron, Marchand. He's kind of the unsung hero of this group. You'll get mostly helpers out of him. He's got just 1 goal in his last 8 games, but 9 assists over that stretch. I think that's good value at 4,300.
Mr. Schultz, before you guys take off, let's poke over to the DK Sportsbook here. Between these 2 games, what is your favorite bet right now?
Well, I was going to mention that you can get the Leafs even money on the money line, but I figure Paul will talk about that in a second here. So I'll look at the other contest. Antti Ranta hasn't lost in 12 straight appearances for the Hurricanes. Likely to go tonight, as I mentioned, the second of the back-to-back. He's been playing some of the best hockey of his career. To that end, I think the Canes on the puck line at +160 is really good value here. Sabres probably will get a goal or 2. I mentioned some fatigue, So I think the over is in play as well. But ultimately, as Paul mentioned, this is a Canes team that's playing really well. So a 2-goal win shouldn't be too much of a stretch for them.
Paul, Bruins here in their last 4 road trip finales, all 4 of those were wins. So proceed with caution here.
I like the Leafs tonight to win that game, so I'll take them on the money line. I'm feeling very confident. The Bruins are as low as they've been all season long, and they're playing their second string goalie. But the bet that I really like tonight is that puck line for Carolina to pay over 155. They're going to win easily tonight. I think they're, like I said, they're 8-1-1 their last 10. I count on their high shot volume against the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Sabres sport a 335 goals against average, which is in the bottom half of the league. Nobody's talking about that too much, but it's going to be a factor tonight.
All right, you two are awesome as always, man. We'll catch up with you all tomorrow. We got to poke back over to the NFL. We got a little higher low segment coming up. Chiefs and Eagles, speaking of high, 2 of the highest scoring teams in the NFL during the regular season. So can A.J. Brown's Eagles win out in a battle of elite offenses in AZ? We bring in our panel to discuss next. All right, coming soon, the 14th Super Bowl meeting here, guys, between number 1 seeds. The first since 2018. Everyone remembers what happened then. That's when the Eagles knocked off the Patriots in Super Bowl 52. Ever since that night, you could find a Nick Foles poster on Jeff Ulrich's bedroom ceiling. Pierce Dietrich is also here for a fun little edition of NFL Over Under. Jeff, over or under 4 months until Tom Brady is a 49er?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. I don't think that he's coming back this time. Just don't think it's gonna happen. We all get one do-over. Brady used his up. He seemed. I mean, he stopped in the middle of his walk. In the sand dunes. So I mean, he has to be pretty serious there. But no, I don't think that Tom Brady's coming back. I think this is it.
All right, Pierce, what was your reaction when the news crossed your Twitter feed this morning?
Is this even really news? I'm not falling for this.
Yeah.
On game 1, day 1, week
Yeah.
1, whatever, if he is not out there in uniforms, then I will believe it. Until that day comes, which we've been waiting 2 decades on, I just believe he's going to keep playing. He's going to keep playing forever.
Right? He's free now. He doesn't really have any roommates anymore. This is why he is
Maybe
where
that
he
was
is.
the plan all along, though, is to free himself up by coming back for this one more year and then retire. I don't know. I'm not going to speak to his. I'm not going to speak to his ideas here, but I do think this is it, man. I mean, everyone wants to play. Oh, he's going to come back. If he wanted to come back, he wouldn't retire. He'd just go somewhere. He's not, betrothed to the Tampa Bay. I mean, he can go wherever he wants. He doesn't need to do this. So, no, I think you guys can put on your tinfoil hats. I know Pierce has 20 of those, but he's not coming back.
I've got one too. So Derek Carr, Jimmy G, and Tampa Bay next, Jeff.
I think Jimmy G. Why not? NFC? I mean, come on. I don't know. I mean, Derek Carr is going to cost a big commitment. I think Jimmy G, if you're looking at a team who maybe just wants a transition quarterback, I think Jimmy G is the better option, especially for a team like Tampa, who still does have some good, veteran players there. They could potentially rebound. So I think Tampa is actually a very logical landing spot for him.
Pierce, we got another week and a half here to hammer every single Super Bowl bet known to man. So let's keep this one simple. Game total currently in the DK Sportsbook now a tick up to 50. You going over or under this?
I'll go under. Philly scored 31 points and 38 points in their first two playoff games. And in both those games, they went under. I think you got to give this defense some respect. They've held both opponents to 7 points. I know people are going to make a bunch of excuses of, well, this matchup and that matchup. End of the day, Philly's scoring a bunch of points, and they're still going under. And speaking to those excuses, this should sound awfully familiar. Last year, the Rams beat a bad Philadelphia team. Then they beat an injured Tampa Bay team. Then they beat an injured San Francisco team, went on to win the Super Bowl. I was one of those people that was constantly making excuses for that team. I'm not doing that again. Philadelphia's done exactly what they were supposed to do. You need to respect this defense. They held the Giants to 7 points. The Giants scored 31 points in the first round. People, oh, well, that was against the Vikings. You can make as many excuses as you want. Philly's defense is real. This is going under.
Okay, Jeff, are you on board there with Pierce?
Yeah, I really am. I mean, I think Philly, I'm not worried about them scoring points. They'll probably get to 30 again, but you've really got a question here whether the Chiefs can put up enough points to get us there. I mean, we're at over 50, especially once this ticks over the 50 mark. Want nothing to do with an overplay. You know, if you can get it down around 48.5 or something by kickoff, that's a different story. We're talking about a 2-point move, but I mean, I just don't think that's going to go. People like betting overs too much. What happened the last time Kansas City? Like, people already forget. I mean, it's like it's good. It was like it happened a century ago. What happened the last time Kansas City played an NFC powerhouse in the Super Bowl? They got demolished. They scored 9 points against Tampa Bay. If you don't think that's in the range of outcomes here, you got another thing you might want to think again there. This Philly defense, every bit as good as Tampa's was, perhaps even better from a pass rush standpoint. So I'm not predicting a blowout here by any means, but I have issues with trusting Kansas City to get on the board with their current state of their wide receiver core as well. So yeah, give me the under.
All right, Jeff, looking at the alternate total here, how far up or down are you willing to go?
On the alternate total, I would definitely look to play it down. I would look to play something for like a 27-20 game, maybe a 30 kind of 17 game. I can go down to 47.5 and still play the under. I really think that that's kind of a key number in terms of totals anyways, once you're getting to around the 47 number. So why not? Why not take a little bit more juice here? You know that this number is getting bet up because everybody takes overs. So why not take advantage of that? You know, you don't have to go all the way down to 47, but you can certainly give yourself a little bit of room there. I think going down to 48.5. So I'd be looking to take advantage in the opposite direction, going for a smaller total and looking for just a Philadelphia win where, again, they just don't allow Kansas City to do much.
Pierce, you want to take advantage of the alternate total here?
I can go as low as 45.5. I don't know if I want to go much lower than that, but I don't believe it's unreasonable. You know, Jeff just mentioned how Kansas City against a tough NFC opponent didn't score any points in a Super Bowl. I could easily see Kansas City not getting 2 touchdowns, maybe just getting 1 touchdown. That's what Philadelphia has limited everybody else to. And I'm sorry, but this Kansas City offense is not the most dynamic offense that we have ever seen. We're going to hear a lot about Andy Reid off the bye and all these stories about how he's such a great coach. Last time I checked, Andy Reid has won 1 Super Bowl and he's lost a lot of big games. I don't understand the hype. And look, he lost a lot of big games with really good offenses. You look at his championship teams, this is probably the weakest offense he's ever had. And he's facing one of the toughest defenses, neutral side, obviously. I could easily see Kansas City not scoring points at all, and then Philly really not even have to push, just running and running and running in the second half.
All right, Chiefs have a team total of 24.5 on the DK Sportsbook. Eagles up to 25.5 here, Pierce. Which one are you more likely to target?
Kansas City under. I believe that Philly over will work as well, but I feel much more confident taking this Kansas City under. I don't believe in the offense, and you're going to hear me talking about this for 2 weeks, but look, their offense is going to find themselves in an even worse spot than normal playing on the road. We know on the road the offense and the defense can struggle. If the defense struggles, that means Kansas City, which already has a pretty one-dimensional offense that can't really run the ball that well, they're okay. The passing game is just short passes. You put them down 10, 14 points,
so that Philadelphia knows exactly what's coming at them every single play. That's going to be a really hard game of moving the chains, really hard game to get the points on the board. Even if they are able to move the ball, they still have to find the end zone, and that's not really something that I think Mahomes and this offense are going to be capable of against this defense. So I'll take the under total on the Chiefs.
Jeff, which team total do you like to bet more?
I can't believe this number is at 24.5. It really just kind of, again, I just think it speaks to the fact that the market, it's just, everyone's kind of just got Chiefs fever, Mahomes, and they just, like no one's going to go and try and bet against Patrick Mahomes. But I think it's a very, very solid play. Even just looking at the last 4 Super Bowls, 6 of the 8 teams have gone well under 24.5. And the teams that did go over this, they won in blowout fashion. Kansas City did it a couple years ago, and Tampa Bay did it against Kansas City. But you have to ask yourself, what are the range of outcomes here where Kansas City blows out Philadelphia? That's got to be we're talking under 5%, maybe under 10% for sure. It's not going to happen very often when we're running the range for this game. And I think Kansas City is going to really struggle to get to this number. So especially at 24.5, yeah, I really love the under there. And I think Philly is worth a play at the over. But if you're asking me which bet I like more, it's the under on Kansas City by far.
All right, Pierce, toodaloo, dude. Jeff, stay right there. We're bringing in Len for one final DFS look at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am after our final break. All right, everybody, final block of the show. You're looking at the top priced golfers ahead of the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So it tees off tomorrow. You see Tom Hoge in there, defending champion at $10K. DraftKings contributors Jeff Ulrich, RotoWire senior golf writer Len Hochberg here hanging out with us to price check. We just showed you the only 4 golfers, Len, in the $10K range this week. So which one of those guys is most worth paying up for?
Yeah, I don't see how we can avoid the top guys this week. There are so few of them. They're all pretty much going to be highly owned. I think we're just going to have to grin and bear that and go with it. I do like 3 of them more than one, and I'll focus on the one I don't like, and that is Victor Hovland. And to say I don't like him is probably too strong a word. This is a course where the greens are so small, at least Pebble Beach, 3,500 square feet. He's scrambling is his big issue. Greens will be missed. He's been working on his short game. When he does that, he's going to go back into the top 5. I don't think that's going to happen this week. I do like Spieth. I do like Fitzpatrick. And I do like your guy, Tom Hoge, a lot better this week.
Jeff, we've talked all week how this field lacks star power. 7 of the top 50 players in the world rankings are here playing this 3-course rotation. Which of these 4 dudes that'll cost at least 10 grand do you need to have in your lineup?
Yeah, Hovland's definitely a little risky. I probably would put him second for myself. I think Matthew Fitzpatrick is underrated right in this field. I think you could easily switch spots with Spieth with him in terms of the salary. Some players played well last fall. He played well over on the DP World Tour. He's coming in off a solid starter over on the Century Tournament of Champions. He's still underrated player. He improved his off the tee game. And again, we don't have any of the issues we have with Hovland. This is a shorter technical seaside track. These are the kind of courses where you want Matthew Fitzpatrick at because he's the top 10 putters / short game player in the world. So I think if anyone you're looking to go in on here on the top 4, it's got to be Fitzpatrick. Like I said, major championship winners, played better than Spieth over the last 6 months for sure. And yet he's still $500 cheaper. I like Hovland too, but he's not, he's harder to trust for sure. And he's also going to be very popular. I think Fitzpatrick's the move here for sure this week.
Jeff, in the 9K range, I feel like a lot of folks are really waiting on that breakout win for Maverick McNeely. So he's come close here a few times. Who do you have the most confidence in in this price range?
Yeah, the 9K range, it's tough this week. All these guys, honestly, all these guys are overpriced. I mean, like Maverick McNeely at 9,600, it's ridiculous. Seamus Power has probably been the most consistent. I'm just going to go with the player I like the most, and that's Andrew Putnam here. He's overpriced too, but you know what? 17 made cuts in a row. The dude just gets it done. Like, yeah, he's not the most consistent ball striker, but my God, can this guy roll it, gained over 10 strokes putting at the Sony. His iron game can go up and down a little bit, but again, if his irons take a tick up this week and he gets confident on the greens early, I mean, this is the exact type of track where you'd expect Andrew Putnam to potentially break through. Again, that kind of consistency eventually does get rewarded. And we saw Andrew Putnam, his only PGA Tour win came in a field just like this at the Barracuda, where he was like plus 2,500. That's pretty much the odds he's going off at this week. I think he sets up very well. And at 9,700, I'd rather pay for him than Mav.
Okay, Len, what about you? Because Mav's posted 4 top 5s in his tour career. 2 have come at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
Yeah, I'm with Jeff on this. I'm in a field that is so weak. I am surprisingly down on the 9,000s. You would think that would be a real sweet spot this week. McNeely is the guy. He just crossed last month 100 career tournaments. He's really on the brink, if not there already, of best player who hasn't won a tournament. I think some of the younger guys kind of like Thagala, too soon to really add him to the bunch. But where is McNeely's win? I do like him this week. The problem is he's probably going to be the highest owned guy because he's out of the 10,000s. He's 96. I do like Andrew Putnam as well. And I am with Jeff on that as well. And after that, I've got to go all the way down to the next guy I really want to play in my lineup is 8,700, and that's Alex Smalley.
Well, Len, a weaker field like this, as you've mentioned, maybe that means you're looking at guys who don't typically grab your attention. Who is one of those golfers this week?
There are a lot of guys who normally I wouldn't consider, but they are in a very weak field, so they have a better chance to succeed. And also the shorter course. There are a lot of guys whose stats on the surface look really bad, or maybe even beyond on the surface and deeper down to look. But they are shorter hitters who really have trouble competing so many weeks, and we have to find them these weeks on these shorter courses. There are 4 guys in the 6,000s, all short hitters, all pretty good greens and regulation guys who I'm going to try and wedge into my lineup or recommending for people to consider. And that's at 6,900, Matthias Schwab, 6,800, Satoshi Kodaira, 6,600, Paul Haley II, good story there, and 6,500, Bryce Garnett. Haley, interestingly, 35 years old, has not played a PGA Tour event until the fall, back to 2013, more than a 9-year absence. He's a great story. And these are the type of guys we have to consider, guys we normally wouldn't consider because of the field this week.
Okay, Jeff, so give me one of those guys.
I'm going to go with Peter Malnati at 6,800. I mean, this is a really, really nice setup for a guy like Malnati. Again, fits into that mold that Len was just talking about, does not hit it big off the tee. But when his irons get going, he hits a lot of greens and reg. And my God, this guy can absolutely light it up with the putter. He gained over 2 strokes on approach last week, was T20 on a longer course. And he has played Pebble Beach a lot. He's finished T11 here. Like, he's got the experience. This is the exact type of player who you see come in on this West Coast swing with a little bit of confidence and sometimes just get himself right in the mix, potentially even pick up a win, kind of like what Von Daler did a few years ago, Ted Potter Jr. Malnati's probably better than both those players. So I really like him at 6,800. That's where I would go. If you're looking for a little bit more upside or a little bit more up in the standings, Kurt Kitayama, I think, is a really good bounce back candidate as well. West Coast player, a couple missed cuts, but he's going to have some wild swings. It's just the nature of his game. I think he's a good bounce back candidate as well for DFS.
Gentlemen, we'll get you out of here with this. Your favorite DFS play for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, Len Hochberg.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at Jordan Spieth this week. I know I'm going kind of chalky, 10,600. He's the top guy, but 10.6 is not bad for a top guy. He's very comfortable in this format. Obviously, plays with Jake Owen every year. They've got a good thing going. This format is not for everyone. You've got to really adjust your week in and week out schedule. He was second last year, Jordan Spieth, third the year before. He won once again. Not that you asked me this, but I think Jordan Spieth is going to be my one and done play this week. He's just not good enough anymore to win the big tournaments with the best guys in the field. He's 16th in the world for a reason. He can win this tournament.
Nearly went off a cliff here last year. Jeff Ulrich.
I'm going to go lower. We talked about the 8K range. David Lipsky is a player I think is almost a little bit underrated in this event. 8,200, really consistent start to the year. He gained over 6 strokes putting on these greens last season, finished 24th. He's in really good form, gaining strokes on approach, good with short irons. David Lipsky, I think he's a good value in the 8K range.
All right, we'll dive more into this later tonight. Jeff Ulrich, you and I hanging out on a Wednesday edition of the slate because Nick Fryer, he's been a part of our team for what, like a month now, and he's already skipping out on the show to go see a comedy special. I don't know. Anywho, Len, good seeing you as well. Everyone, thanks for watching the show. We're back here in studio tomorrow morning, but we'll see you tonight, 5 o'clock on the DK Show.